A 75-pound golden retriever woke his owners up at 2:31 in the morning, not barking at a stranger, not barking at a noise outside, barking at a baby monitor. What Daniel found in that room 18 minutes later is the reason this story needs to be told, and it's the reason nobody in that house will ever underestimate a golden retriever again. Nobody warned Daniel about the jealousy. Everyone warned him about the sleepless nights, the feeding schedule, the way a newborn changes a marriage before you even realize it's happening. His mother warned him, his coworkers warned him. 3 different parenting books warned him in 3 different ways. But nobody warned him that his golden retriever, his 75-pound, tail-wagging, couch-stealing, tennis ball-obsessed golden retriever named Cooper, would fall so completely, so utterly in love with a baby that Daniel would eventually feel like the third wheel in his own house. Cooper was 4 years old when Mia brought Owen home. He had been the center of their world for those 4 years, in the way that dogs become the center of a world when a couple doesn't yet have children. He had his own spot on the couch, his own side of the bed, his own drawer in the kitchen for treats, which he had learned to open by himself sometime around year 2, a discovery Daniel had chosen to find charming rather than alarming. He was not a guard dog. Nobody had ever accused Cooper of being a guard dog. He was the dog that greeted every delivery person like a long-lost relative. The dog that once spent 40 minutes trying to make friends with a garden hose. The dog whose response to loud noises was to sit on Daniel's feet and wait for someone to explain what was happening. He was, by every possible measure, the gentlest animal Daniel had ever known. And that was exactly why what happened on the night of March 4th made no sense to anyone until the pediatrician explained it, and then it made every sense in the world. But that comes later. Owen arrived on a Tuesday in November, 6 pounds, 9 ounces, a full head of dark hair that confused everyone who looked at Daniel's blonde family photos, blue eyes that Mia swore would change color but haven't yet, 8 months later. They brought him home on a Thursday afternoon. Daniel carried the car seat through the front door, and Cooper was waiting in the hallway, sitting perfectly still in a way he almost never did, tail sweeping the floor in slow, careful arcs. Daniel set the car seat down. Mia held her breath. Cooper walked over. He sniffed the edge of the carrier, then he sniffed the air above it. Then he took 1 step back, sat down, and looked up at Daniel with an expression that said very clearly, "I understand now. This changes things." He slept beside the car seat that first night, not on his bed, not on the couch, on the floor, 3 inches from where Owen slept, his chin resting on his front paws, his eyes open long after Daniel had gone to bed. By the end of the first week, a routine had formed that nobody designed and nobody could disrupt. Every morning, Cooper would wake before Owen. He would walk to the bassinet, stand beside it, and wait. The moment Owen stirred, before he cried, before he made a single sound, Cooper's tail would begin to wag, like he could hear something no one else could hear, like he was tuned to a frequency that only existed between them. Mia started calling it the morning report, Cooper checking in, making sure everything was still okay.
I see you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet. That honestly stings a little. Hit subscribe, you'll want to see what comes next. Daniel's mother visited in December and watched the whole thing for 3 days before she said anything. On the last night, she sat across the kitchen table from Daniel and said, very quietly, "That dog knows something." Daniel didn't argue, because by then he had seen enough to stop arguing. He had seen Cooper position himself between Owen's bouncer and the front door every single time someone knocked. Not barking, not growling, just standing there with his body angled slightly forward like a door that had chosen to become a wall. He had seen Cooper follow Mia from room to room during the night feeds, lying down wherever she sat, getting up when she got up, moving through the dark house behind her in silence like a shadow that had decided to be useful. He had seen Cooper on a Wednesday afternoon in February abandon a tennis ball mid-game, something that had never happened in 4 years, not once, because Owen had started crying in the next room. Cooper dropped the ball, walked inside, and sat beside the bouncer until Owen stopped. Daniel stood in the doorway and watched this happen and didn't say a word. Some things don't need words. But the moment that changed everything happened on the night of March 4th. Owen was 4 months old. It was 2:31 in the morning. Daniel woke to Cooper barking. Not his usual bark, not the bark for squirrels or delivery trucks or the garden hose. This was something different, sharp, insistent, the kind of bark that had a direction. It was pointing at something, aimed at something, trying to say something specific to someone who didn't speak the language. Daniel was in the hallway before he was fully awake. Cooper was standing at the door of Owen's room, barking at the baby monitor on the shelf. Not at the door, at the monitor. Like he understood somehow that the monitor was the thing that connected Owen's room to theirs. Like he was trying to make it louder. Daniel pushed the door open. Owen was in his crib, pale and completely still in a way that didn't look like sleep. His breathing was shallow, wrong, the kind of wrong that a parent feels before they understand it. They were in the emergency room 18 minutes later. RSV, respiratory syncytial virus. The doctor said they had caught it early, very early, said that in an hour, maybe less, and the picture might have looked very different. Daniel sat in the hospital waiting room at 4 a.m. with Cooper's leash still wrapped around his hand from when he had locked him in the car. And he thought about 4 years of tennis balls and couch cushions and treat drawers opened by clever paws. He thought about a dog who greeted every delivery person like a long-lost relative. He thought about the 40 minutes with the garden hose. And he thought about how that dog, that gentle, ridiculous couch-stealing dog, had stood at a baby monitor at 2:31 in the morning and barked in a language nobody had taught him until someone listened. Nobody believed a 75-pound golden retriever could be a guardian, not the kind that mattered, not the kind that stood between a family and the thing they couldn't see coming. They were wrong. Cooper didn't need to be trained to love Owen. He just needed Owen to exist. And sometimes that's all it takes. One person or one tiny blue-eyed, dark-haired person to walk into a life and make everything that came before suddenly make sense. Because Cooper had spent 4 years being the center of a world, and the moment Owen arrived, he chose, without hesitation, without instruction, without a single word of guidance, to become the thing that protected it instead. That is not instinct. That is not training. That is love. And love, it turns out, doesn't care much about breed. Have you ever had a dog do something that couldn't be explained? Something that made you stop and think, they know more than we think they do? Tell me in the comments.